Sleeping through the night in one stretch is something we take for granted until it stops happening. For many people, especially from a certain age onward, nights turn into a series of interruptions, opening the eyes, getting out of bed, shuffling half asleep to the bathroom, coming back and trying to fall asleep again. Sometimes it happens once, other times twice, and in more serious cases, 3 or 4 times. And each interruption leaves a mark. It's not just the fatigue the next day, it's that your rest stops being restorative, your energy doesn't bounce back, and little by little, you start to feel more irritable, less focused, and in a lower mood. Even memory can take a hit. And the most frustrating part is that many times this problem gets normalized. It's just my age. It's part of life, we tell ourselves. But the truth is, it doesn't always have to be that way. Getting up several times to urinate at night has a medical name, nocturia. And while it can be due to health issues that require professional attention, it's also heavily influenced by what we eat and drink during the day. There are foods and habits that can make it worse, but there are also others that can help reduce it and even help you sleep through the night again. Today I'm going to share 5 natural foods that have been shown to help many people decrease how often they get up to use the bathroom at night. They're simple, accessible options, and best of all, we're not talking about miracle cures, but about small tweaks that, with consistency, can make a big difference in your quality of life. Before we go on, it's important to remember that this video does not replace a doctor's evaluation. If you have this problem frequently, it's a good idea to get checked to rule out more serious causes. But if you want to lean on natural and safe solutions, what we're going to cover today can be the beginning of an important change. So get comfortable, relax, and stick with me for the next few minutes. We're going to look at how your body works at night, why certain foods can help you rest better, and above all, how to incorporate them practically into your day-to-day life. But before we start, I'd love to get to know you a bit more. How old are you, and where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. That way I'll know who I'm talking to, and we can build together a community of people who want to age with health and well-being. It's not just the bladder, it's your body talking to you. Getting up once during the night to go to the bathroom can seem normal. The problem starts when that once turns into twice, 3 times, or even more. That's when deep sleep breaks, and what should be a restorative night turns into a series of fragments of incomplete rest. Doctors have a name for this situation, nocturia, and although the term sounds technical, it describes something millions of people live with every day. Nocturia happens when the body produces more urine than usual at night, or when the bladder can't hold it long enough. In other words, it's a message your body is sending, saying that something in its functioning is changing. In older adults, there are several reasons why this happens. The first is that bladder capacity decreases with the passing of years. Before, it could store more liquid without creating urgency, but with age, that capacity shrinks. In addition, the muscles that control urination lose strength, making it harder to hold it until morning. Another important cause is hormonal changes. A hormone called vasopressin helps concentrate urine and reduce its production during the night. However, as we age, the body produces less vasopressin, which leads to more urine being made while we sleep. In men, prostate problems, such as benign prostatic hyperplasia, can press on the urethra and make it hard to fully empty the bladder. This means that even if you think you've finished urinating, there's actually fluid left that later triggers a new sensation of urgency. Fluid retention should also be mentioned. Many people, especially those with circulatory problems or heart failure, accumulate fluid in the legs during the day. When lying down, that fluid redistributes and reaches the kidneys, which filter it and turn it into urine. In other cases, nocturia is related to illnesses like diabetes, which increase urine production, or to habits that seem harmless but aren't, such as drinking large amounts of water or herbal teas right before bed. To grasp the real impact of this problem, it's enough to hear stories like Henry's, a 78-year-old man who told me he got up as many as 5 times in a single night. At first he thought it was temporary, but over time he noticed his mood worsened, his memory wasn't the same, and the energy for his daily activities disappeared. I spent the day tired, he told me, and every night I went to bed afraid, knowing I wouldn't rest well. The good news is that, although these causes can sound inevitable, not all is lost. There are changes we can make to reduce how often we get up to use the bathroom, and one of them, perhaps the most accessible and natural, is through what we eat and drink. Just as certain foods can make the situation worse, there are others that help the bladder work better and the sleep be deeper. And that's exactly what we're going to discover in the next sections. Small but powerful for your bladder. Sometimes the most effective solutions come in small packages. Pumpkin seeds are a perfect example. You may have seen them as a simple snack or a garnish for bread, but the truth is that for many older adults, they're a quiet ally against nocturia and other urinary problems. These seeds are among the richest natural sources of zinc, an essential mineral for the proper functioning of the urinary system, and especially for prostate health in men. Zinc is involved in tissue repair, hormonal regulation, and the body's anti-inflammatory response. This means that when you consume it regularly, you can help reduce inflammation that sometimes affects the bladder or the prostate, one of the causes of nighttime urgency. But zinc isn't their only treasure. Pumpkin seeds contain compounds such as cucurbitakin, a natural substance that helps relax the bladder muscles. Why is this important? Because when the bladder is less tense, it can store more urine and send you urgency signals less often. In addition, this relaxation makes it easier to empty fully during urination, preventing remnants that later cause another nocturnal awakening. Their effect is twofold. On the one hand, they help you have fewer interruptions during the night, and on the other, when you do have to get up, you manage to empty the bladder more efficiently, reducing the risk of another bathroom trip within a few hours. They're easy to consume. You can eat them raw, which preserves their nutrients to the fullest, lightly toasted for a more intense and pleasant flavor, or ground into a powder to add to soups, smoothies, or even your morning oatmeal. 1 or 2 tablespoons a day are enough to obtain their benefits, always within a balanced diet. I remember Thomas's story, a 75-year-old man who told me he had tried everything to sleep better, but nothing seemed to work. He got up between 4 and 5 times each night to go to the bathroom, and his wife suffered the consequences too, because her rest was interrupted just like his. One day, on a friend's recommendation, he started eating a small handful of pumpkin seeds every afternoon as a snack. He didn't expect much, but after a month he told me that now he only got up once a night, and some nights he managed to sleep straight through. It wasn't overnight, but it gave me back something I thought I'd lost. The peace of sleeping without watching the clock, he told me with a smile. That said, although they're very beneficial, not everyone can consume them without issue. If you have digestive problems like colitis or gastritis, it's better to moderate the amount or check with your doctor first. The seeds contain fiber and healthy fat, which some people may find heavy if consumed in excess. In short, pumpkin seeds are a simple, natural, and accessible ally to improve bladder health and decrease nighttime interruptions. They're not a miracle cure, but as part of a broader plan, they can make a big difference in your sleep quality. The nighttime ally few people know. When we think of foods that help us sleep, most people remember chamomile or warm milk as traditional remedies, but few know there's a fruit that can provide a real, measurable benefit to nighttime rest. Sour cherries, also known as tart cherries or morellos. Their biggest secret is that they're among the richest natural sources of melatonin, the hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle. Melatonin not only helps you fall asleep faster, it also improves the quality of rest, allowing you to spend more time in the deep phases, those where the body repairs and the mind recovers. Now then, you might ask, and what does this have to do with the urgency to urinate at night? The answer is that when you achieve deep, stable sleep, your brain is less sensitive to stimuli that wake you, including the sensation of a full bladder. This doesn't mean you'll ignore an urgent need, but it does mean your body will filter those signals better, waking you only when it's truly necessary. In addition, sour cherries provide antioxidants like anthocyanins, which have anti-inflammatory properties. This can indirectly help reduce irritation in the urinary tract, especially in people who suffer from inflammation of the bladder or prostate. The most practical way to consume them is as natural juice with no added sugar. Ideally, drink a small glass about 30 to 60 minutes before going to bed. You can also eat them fresh if available, or dried as a small nighttime treat, always making sure they don't contain extra sugar. A study in older adults found that drinking sour cherry juice twice a day, morning and night, helped improve the duration and quality of sleep in just 2 weeks. Although the research focused on rest, many participants reported feeling less interrupted by the urge to go to the bathroom. This detail, although not the study's main objective, is an interesting hint of its possible benefit in cases of nocturia. Carmen's story illustrates this point very well. For more than a year, she hadn't been able to sleep more than 2 or 3 hours in a row. Between knee pain and the urge to urinate, her nights were a jigsaw puzzle of awakenings and trips to the bathroom. Her granddaughter, who had read about sour cherries, brought her a bottle of natural juice and suggested she try a glass before bed. Carmen wasn't expecting anything miraculous, but by the second week, she told me something that hadn't happened in years. She had slept 5 hours straight without waking up. "It felt like being 40 again," she said, laughing. Of course, as with any food, this isn't about overdoing it. A small glass is enough, and if you are diabetic or have trouble controlling blood sugar, it's best to opt for the whole fruit or consult your doctor before adding it to your routine. In short, sour cherries not only provide a direct benefit to sleep thanks to their natural melatonin, but by allowing your rest to be deeper, they can help you reduce how often you interrupt the night to go to the bathroom. Hydrate when you should, not when you shouldn't. Cucumber is one of those foods that is almost always in the kitchen, but rarely gets the credit it deserves. Fresh, light, and mild tasting, it's much more than a simple salad side. For people who suffer from nocturia, cucumber can become a strategic tool to teach the body to manage fluids better and reduce nighttime bathroom visits. Its main feature is its high water content, which makes up more than 90% of its weight. This water, unlike drinking a big glass of liquid before bed, comes along with electrolytes such as potassium and magnesium, which help the body distribute fluids more evenly. This means the hydration cucumber provides is not only abundant, but also efficient. The trick lies in when you consume it. Eating cucumber in the early hours of the day stimulates diuresis, that is, urine production, when you still have the whole day ahead of you. In this way, you help most of your emptying work happen during waking hours, lightening the load your bladder will receive at night. Scheduling hydration is one of the key principles for controlling nocturia. It's not about drinking less water, because that can have negative consequences, but about shifting fluid intake to strategic times. Cucumber, along with other water-rich vegetables like celery or lettuce, is ideal for hydrating in the morning or at midday, preventing much of that liquid from hitting your urinary system in the middle of the night. A simple example: adding a few slices of cucumber to breakfast, or as a mid-morning snack, not only refreshes you, it also helps you start the day with abundant, well-used hydration. If you also combine it with a pinch of natural salt and a squeeze of lemon, you enhance its flavor and add minerals that support fluid balance. In a senior community where I collaborated, I met Mr. Raymond, an 82-year-old man who, out of habit, drank large glasses of water right after dinner because his mouth felt dry. He couldn't understand why he got up 3 or 4 times each night. After a group talk, he decided to make a simple change: add cucumber and other water-rich vegetables to his breakfast and lunch, and drastically reduce fluid intake after 6 in the evening. 2 weeks later, he told me that now he only got up once, and that he had recovered that continuous rest he had missed so much. Cucumber isn't a standalone solution, but it is an important piece within a broader strategy. By adding it in the early hours of the day, you teach your body to process and eliminate fluids when you have more room to do so, preventing your bladder from becoming the protagonist of your nights. The gentle diuretic that works in your favor. Parsley is so common in the kitchen that we sometimes forget it's much more than a garnish. Behind those green aromatic leaves lies a powerful ally for bladder health and controlling nocturia. It's not a miracle remedy, but it is a gentle, steady aid that, when used well, can improve the quality of your nighttime rest. Parsley contains compounds with natural diuretic action, which means it stimulates urine production. At first glance, this might seem counterproductive for someone who already gets up a lot to use the bathroom, but the key is when it's consumed. Having a parsley infusion in mid-morning or at midday helps bring forward part of that emptying work, encouraging excess fluids to leave the body during the day instead of accumulating and bothering you in the early hours. In addition, parsley is rich in vitamin C, flavonoids, and essential oils with antimicrobial properties. This means it may help prevent urinary tract infections, a very common cause of increased nighttime urgency, especially in older adults. Keeping the bladder free of irritations is essential to reduce those unexpected bathroom trips while you sleep. It's easy to prepare. Simply wash a handful of fresh leaves, chop them lightly, and add them to a cup of boiling water. Let it steep for 5 to 10 minutes, strain, and drink it warm. Sweetening isn't necessary, but if you prefer, you can add a slice of lemon for a fresher touch. The important thing is always to drink it earlier in the day, never at night, to avoid its diuretic effect interfering with sleep. As for fluid retention, parsley can be a big help. Its action encourages excess water accumulated in legs and ankles to be released, which not only improves physical comfort, but also reduces pressure on the bladder. This double benefit, less swelling and less nighttime urgency, makes it an interesting option to include in the diet. That said, not everyone can consume it without precautions. People with kidney failure or serious filtration problems should always consult their doctor before using it as a regular infusion, since its diuretic action could overload already weakened kidneys. I remember Julian, a 79-year-old man I met in a healthy eating workshop. He came saying that every night he got up at least 3 times, and that in the mornings his legs felt heavy and swollen. He decided to try parsley tea at midday, along with a small change to reduce the salt in his dinners. 2 weeks later, he looked for me to say that nights of 3 interruptions had become nights of just 1, and that his shoes now felt less tight at the end of the day. "It's not that I'm cured," he said, "but I feel like my body is more in order." Parsley is, in short, a modest but steady help. It cleans, protects, and lightens the workload on your bladder, so long as it's used at the right time and with the necessary precautions. The stabilizer that calms the bladder. Oats are one of those foods that have earned a place at the table thanks to their simplicity and benefits, but few people know they can also play an important role in controlling nocturia. Beyond being a classic breakfast, oats are a natural stabilizer that helps keep your bladder calmer at night. Their main virtue is their high soluble fiber content, a type of fiber that, when mixed with water, forms a kind of soft gel in the stomach and intestines. This gel helps regulate carbohydrate absorption, avoiding sudden spikes in blood glucose. Why is this important for the bladder? Because when sugar levels rise too much, the body tries to get rid of them quickly, which increases urine production. Keeping sugar stable means the kidneys won't be ordered to work overtime in the middle of the night. In addition, oats support intestinal transit, something sometimes overlooked when we talk about urinary problems. A slow or constipated intestine can press on the bladder, reducing its capacity and increasing urgency. By improving regularity, oats indirectly help the bladder have more space and less irritation. The ideal way to prepare them is simple. Cooked with plant-based milk, oat, almond or coconut, topped with fresh fruit like banana or apple, and without adding refined sugar. If you want a sweet touch, you can use a bit of honey or cinnamon. This kind of preparation isn't just healthy, it's also satiating, helping you avoid very heavy or late dinners that could interfere with rest. A strategy that has worked for many people is to have oats as an early dinner, around 7 in the evening. This provides enough energy and nutrients for the night without overloading the digestive system and avoiding an excess of liquids before sleep. I remember Rose, a 76-year-old woman who had tried several remedies to stop waking so many times at night. Her routine included very abundant dinners with white bread, which made her thirsty and increased her need to go to the bathroom. After a talk, she decided to switch her dinner to a bowl of oats with almond milk and pieces of pear. At first it seemed too simple, but after 3 weeks she called me excited. Her nighttime awakenings had been cut in half. "It's as if my body had calmed down," she told me, "and that gives me a peace I hadn't felt in years." Oats, on their own, won't solve every sleep or bladder problem, but they can be a key piece within a broader strategy. They stabilize, calm, and nourish. Three things that, combined, can make a big difference for someone fighting to sleep through the night. Knowing which foods help is only half the journey. The other half is learning to organize them so they work for you, not against you. For those who get up several times a night, it's not enough to eat healthfully. You have to mind the time of day you eat and drink. The general rule is simple. Hydrate well in the morning and at midday, and reduce fluid intake from the afternoon onward. This doesn't mean going thirsty, but shifting most of your water and beverage consumption to the hours when your body is still active and can process them calmly. That way, when night comes, the bladder is calmer and less loaded. Likewise, it's important to avoid nighttime irritants such as coffee, black tea, alcoholic beverages, or very salty foods. These substances can stimulate urine production or irritate the bladder, making even a small amount of liquid trigger urgency. Ideally, your last meal should be light, easy to digest, and low in salt, so it doesn't increase your thirst or your need to get up. Let's look at a sample daily menu integrating the 5 foods we've covered. Breakfast, 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Oatmeal cooked with plant-based milk and slices of banana or apple. A small glass of water, mid-morning, 10:30. Warm parsley infusion. A handful of lightly toasted pumpkin seeds. Lunch, 1:30 p.m. Cucumber salad with tomato and lemon alongside a balanced main dish. Water or a mild herbal tea, always before finishing the meal. Afternoon snack, 4 p.m. A handful of fresh sour cherries or a small glass of their unsweetened juice. Dinner, 7 p.m. A light vegetable cream soup or a small bowl of oats if you prefer to repeat this food at night. Drink only what's necessary to accompany the meal, avoiding extra liquids afterward. This kind of organization allows the gentle diuretic effects of some foods to do their work during the day and not wake you in the early hours. Consistency is key. Don't expect immediate changes overnight. The body needs time to adapt and learn to distribute fluids at more convenient times. Ideally, keep the plan for at least 3 or 4 weeks before evaluating the results. A very useful tool is keeping a sleep and urination journal. Write down what and when you eat and drink, how many times you get up to use the bathroom, and how you feel upon waking. This won't just help you identify patterns, it will also let you see your progress objectively. With a well-structured plan and the patience to follow it, these 5 foods can become your allies in getting back those nights of continuous rest that do so much for your physical and mental health. What you might be doing without realizing it. Sometimes it's not that the right foods are missing from our diet, but that certain habits, without our noticing, are sabotaging all our efforts to sleep through the night. They're small mistakes, apparently harmless, but they add up and end up interrupting rest night after night. One of the most common is drinking large amounts of water at night. Many people feel they need to hydrate well before sleeping, but this habit sends a clear message to the bladder. You'll have extra work in the next few hours. This means that even if sleep is deep, the sensation of urgency appears and wakes you. The solution isn't to stop drinking, but to move most liquids to daytime and only take a couple of sips if you're thirsty before bed. Another frequent habit is eating dinner too late or with very salty foods. Abundant, salt-heavy dinners not only make you thirsty, they also make the body retain fluids to dilute the excess sodium. That retained liquid sooner or later has to be eliminated, and many times it happens at dawn. Moving dinner earlier and reducing salt is a simple way to ease this problem. There's also the neglect of not fully emptying the bladder before sleeping. Sometimes, out of hurry or habit, urination is cut short before the bladder is truly empty. This means that in a few hours, the sensation of urgency will return. A simple habit of taking a few extra seconds in the bathroom, relaxing the abdomen and waiting a bit before standing up, can make a difference. A more serious mistake is ignoring the signs of a urinary infection. Burning when urinating, a feeling of low abdominal pressure, or a sudden urge to go are symptoms that shouldn't be normalized. An untreated infection not only interrupts sleep, it can also put overall health at risk. At any sign, the right thing to do is see a doctor as soon as possible. Finally, There's the excessive use of diuretic medications in the afternoon or at night without medical guidance. These drugs are very useful for controlling blood pressure or fluid retention, but taking them at the wrong hours guarantees multiple bathroom trips while you're trying to sleep. They should always be taken under supervision and, if possible, in the morning or at midday. Fixing these mistakes doesn't require drastic changes, but it does require attention and consistency. Sometimes, improving nighttime rest doesn't depend on adding more things, but on stopping the ones that are silently hurting us. Throughout this video, we've discovered that although getting up several times a night to use the bathroom may seem inevitable with age, there's actually a lot we can do to change it. This isn't about magic tricks or empty promises, but about harnessing the power of certain foods and organizing our daily routines better. Let's remember today's 5 protagonists. First, pumpkin seeds. Small but full of zinc and prostate benefits, capable of relaxing the bladder and improving emptying. Second, sour cherries, rich in natural melatonin, that help you sleep more deeply and reduce the perception of urgency. Third, cucumber, which hydrates and replenishes electrolytes when you most need it, helping shift water handling to the daytime so the night is calmer. Fourth, parsley infusion, a gentle diuretic that cleans the bladder and reduces swelling, always taken at the right hours. And fifth, oats, the great stabilizer that regulates blood sugar and supports an intestine with less pressure on the bladder. Each of these foods brings something different, but together they form a powerful strategy for deeper, more restorative rest. And best of all, they don't require big sacrifices, just small changes that, with consistency, can transform your nights. Sleeping well is possible, even at an advanced age, if we take care of what we eat and when we eat it. I've seen many people go from interrupted, frustrating nights to waking up feeling renewed simply by applying these principles. The key is to start today, to try, to listen to your body, and to tweak whatever's needed until you find your own balance. If this content was useful to you, share it with a friend or family member who also gets up too many times at night. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to receive more practical, easy-to-apply tips designed especially to help you live this stage of your life with more health, energy, and peace of mind. The night can be yours again. You just need to give your body the tools so that, at last, it can rest the way it deserves. 3.